It started with a question no one expected, one that pierced through the glossy perfection of royal life like a crack in glass. Do you have any wishes for your new niece, Lilibet? A simple question. Harmless on the surface. But in the space between the words, the air changed. Cameras clicked, the crowd leaned forward, and the Princess of Wales, always poised, always graceful, hesitated. Her smile didn't falter, but something in her eyes did. She said she wished her niece all the very best. It was polite.
Kind.
The sort of answer one gives when there's nothing else safe to say. But then came the moment that froze the crowd, that turned the gossip of courtiers into headlines across the world. She admitted she had never met her niece, not once. Not in person. Not even over a screen. And, oh, FaceTime calls. No cooing introductions. Nothing. And with that one revelation, the illusion shattered. The image of a family united beneath the crown. Because this wasn't just about a baby. This was about what had been lost. Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor. Born June 4, 2021. A name that carried two worlds within it. The Queen's childhood nickname and the legacy of Diana. The mother both brothers still grieve in their own ways. A name meant to connect the past and the future, bridge two generations of Windsors, but bridges need both sides to stand. When Harry and Meghan welcomed their daughter into the world, they were already oceans away, physically, emotionally, and institutionally. California sun instead of London rain. Freedom instead of protocol. Cameras they controlled instead of cameras that controlled them. By the time Lilibet opened her eyes, the palace doors had long been closed. The fallout from the Oprah interview was still burning through the kingdom like wildfire. Meghan's tears. Accusations of cruelty, of silence, of being made to cry by Kate herself. The world saw headlines, but inside those walls, it was something far more devastating, a bond between two couples, once described as the Fab Four, splintering beyond repair. Kate had once called Meghan family. William had called Harry his best friend. And then came betrayal, confusion, hurt that ran deeper than public duty could ever disguise. When Kate said she hadn't met her niece, it wasn't just an answer. It was a quiet confession, a reflection of just how far the family had fallen from each other. Because what kind of family, no matter how royal, lets cousins grow up as strangers? George, Charlotte, and Louis, three children who live in the heart of royal tradition, have a cousin across the sea they've never met. A cousin born into the same bloodline, sharing the same great-grandmother who once held the Commonwealth in her hands. But the laughter of royal cousins in gardens and Christmas halls? It never happened. And the image of Kate and Meghan smiling side by side? It feels like a memory from another world. When that reporter's question came, it was like a ghost resurfacing. Not of Lilibet, but of what could have been. The audience saw composure. They saw diplomacy. But behind the Duchess's careful words was something else, grief. Not for a person, but for connection. For a family that could have been whole. And yet, there was no malice in her voice. No bitterness. Just an ache. She wished her niece all the best. And she meant it, because for all the tabloids, all the speculation, Kate has always understood one thing. The show goes on. The monarchy survives because its members know when to hold their emotions behind their eyes and let grace do the talking. Still, that grace came at a cost. Each time she's asked about Harry and Meghan, she relives a fracture she cannot mend. Each time she smiles through the questions, she reminds the world that being royal often means being human in private and unshakable in public. Royal experts praised her answer. They said she handled it perfectly. But perfection isn't peace. Behind palace walls, the silence lingers. There are no phone calls between the brothers, no shared laughter between the sisters-in-law, no playdates between the children. The royal Christmases, once packed with noisy laughter and the smell of pine, now feel smaller, quieter. Even the walls of Windsor seem to remember what's missing. King Charles, for all his composure, must feel it too. The thought of grandchildren growing up across an ocean, of his sons walking separate paths he can no longer join. Reports suggest he met Lilibet briefly during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Some say he held her, others aren't sure. But the fact that we have to ask speaks volumes. This family, once the embodiment of unity, of duty, now feels like a collection of islands separated by an ocean of pride, pain, and press. Harry and Meghan, building their life in California. William and Kate, anchoring the crown in Britain. Each family forging its own identity, its own truth. But truth, in the royal world, is dangerous. The moment Kate admitted she hadn't met her niece, it wasn't a scandal. It was something quieter, more haunting, a reminder that for all the crowns, the jewels, the centuries of tradition, this is still a family capable of heartbreak. Behind the diamonds, they bleed the same. Behind the smiles, they break the same. Behind the speeches, they wish things could be different. For years, the monarchy has survived wars, divorces, abdications. But what it struggles with most is the one thing it can't control: love. Love between brothers, love between wives, love between families who once shared everything and now share only memories. The children, George, Charlotte, Louis, Archie, and Lilibet, are the innocent ones in all this. The next generation who will inherit a legacy written by choices they never made. Maybe one day they'll meet. Maybe one day they'll see past the ocean, past the silence, past the stories. But until then, this is what remains: a photograph, a name, a wish whispered across continents. Kate's answer wasn't a slip. It was a truth too heavy to hide. She hasn't met her niece. She hasn't spoken to her brother-in-law. She hasn't seen the woman once welcomed into the royal fold as a sister. And maybe that's what hurts the most, because for all the talk of reconciliation, for all the public smiles, the reality is simple. Some wounds don't heal with time. Some silences grow louder. Some questions linger, even after the cameras stop rolling. And somewhere in California, a little girl named Lilibet grows up surrounded by love, unaware that her very existence is a reminder of a family torn apart, a princess by birthright, a stranger by circumstance, and a hope, faint, fragile, but still alive, that one day, love might find its way back across the ocean. Until then, the palace carries on, smiling, posing, polishing the image, pretending everything is fine. But every so often, in moments like this, when the questions slip through the cracks, we see the truth flicker through the crown's reflection: a family divided, a mother's restraint, a kingdom watching, and a woman standing before the world, wishing her niece all the best, because that's all she's allowed to do.